Okay, hello everyone. We are back. We are live. Ariel Jarvis. Hello, Ariel. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Great to be back. James Gardner here. As always, Ariel and I are here every Monday. Conversations on vitality, bringing you up to date problems, solution, holistic remedies, you name it, just educational content to help us all live with more energy, more vitality, and some more happiness too, Ariel. For though I know our community knows that we've been taking an extended break a little bit, and I just want to acknowledge you and say congratulations on your show and the hard work that you've been up to. It's amazing. I look forward to diving in today with you. We're going to talk, gang. We've been asked a lot. And by the way, I'll just say up front, anybody has any good topics, conversations that you want or you're interested in, always put it in our comments, DM us, whatever. We'll try to get it in and add it in here to answer some of your top questions. Today's hot topic is arthritis. Mhm. Now, Ariel, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Arthritis, most of us know what it is. I don't know if most of us know really what it is in terms of its cause and effect, and we just assume it's mostly something that happens to older people as they age. So let's start, Ariel. What is arthritis? What do you see in your world?
So, arthritis, anything that ends in itis at the end, and we're specifically talking about arthritis, is inflammation that has festered in a localized area. And so, this can be, there's so many variables involved. I want you to think of rust on metal. Okay. So, wear and tear on the skeletal system, the joints, the tendons, all of that. So, our diet composed of high sugar contents actually breaks down the collagen production that creates cushioning between the bones, the vertebrae, etc. And so there's so many variables, yes, but some things that you can learn about. Number one is restoring your gut health, because that is going to create more inflammation within the skeletal system if you don't correct that. Number two is your hydration. If you are dehydrated and you're not drinking negative charged water and you're not drinking a large amount of it, then you could be at risk down the road for developing arthritis because it's inflammation. How do you put out a fire? Water. A lot of people don't realize, though, it needs to be negative charged water and it has to have nothing in it unless you have supplements that are bioenergetic, anyways, which also have a negative charge.
When you say nothing in it, like no artificial sweetener or no flavoring or anything like that, is that what you mean?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of clients say, well, I drink water, but I put BCAAs in it, or I
Gotcha.
put a pre workout, or coffee has water, beer has water.
Mm.
So just things like that. It has to be clear water unless it has a bioenergetic value, meaning it has herbs in it, it has negative charge supplements, so chlorophyll, things like that, or it has herbs that are in a bag that is organic, so tea, right? But as soon as you put a tea bag in your water and you add a bunch of sugar, you're
Right,
now changing
right.
the molecular structure.
Okay, good. So I heard you say we're going to get into the types in a moment. Um, you said high sugar content. So is high sugar one of the big culprits because it breaks down the collagen?
Correct. When you have too much sugar in your diet, excess sugar,
Yeah.
more than your body can burn off, or more that too much, meaning you are now creating a excess, feeding the bad microbes in the gut.
Mm.
There's two different types of microbes in the gut. There's the good microbes, which thrive on plants, fiber, fermentation, and then there's the bad microbes that thrive on processed sugar. They also, if you cut out the processed sugar, they will also thrive on excess sugar. So if you're the type of person where, say, you don't eat any processed sugar, but you go to the maple syrup, or you go to the honey or the dates, and you just eat a lot of it constantly, you could be at risk for arthritis because it's still excess. So everything within moderation, even if it's healthy. So making sure that you're getting the right amount of sugar and carbohydrates, which also gets converted into sugar, for your daily needs. Don't
Okay,
overfuel.
gotcha. Good. Okay. Arthritis for us 10-year olds out here. What is arthritis in terms of what happens to the bones, let's say,
So you have your
to
two
the
bones,
joints?
right? And you have a
Hmm.
cushion, you have collagen. So what happens over time is that collagen decreases, and now you have bone on bone and it creates friction. Your
Okay.
body is made up of energy, and so you can have potential or kinetic energy. Potential energy is the amount of energy that can potentially create that burn, that friction. The kinetic energy is when it actually meets, and then you do your daily activity, creating physical movement, creating
Mm.
a ripple effect of that friction, which means now your arthritis can be transferred to a different area. So when someone, say, has, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, there's childhood arthritis, there's gout is a type of arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, infectious arthritis, reactive arthritis, whatever that might be. What people don't realize is it always goes back to your skeletal system. It could be your fingers, it could be your neck, it could be your vertebrae. Every type of arthritis will focus on a specific area. Some will be your hips, your knees, all that sort of stuff. But it always goes back to the skeletal system. There's a lot that goes on with your skeletal system. Your skeletal system is a storage of alkaline minerals. Okay. So it's sitting, what is around it? Muscle fibers. Muscle fibers are 75% water. And what happens is if your diet and your gut health and your water goes down to a pH that is acidic, your body has to buffer. That storage of alkaline minerals in your bones eventually will go out to buffer the blood and the muscle tissues and all that sort of stuff. So you need to take into account that balance, going back to homeostasis. If you're someone that works out a lot, like maybe athletes, you need to think about lactic acid buildup. That means you need to hydrate. You need to put your electrolytes back. Otherwise, you're also at risk for arthritis. Wear and tear. It's like rust, right?
Mm.
Rust can go both ways. Wear and tear can go both ways. You can get wear and tear on your skeletal system by letting it just sit out and not moving it and not letting things filter through and all that sort of stuff, or by not oiling it and not greasing it and just grinding it and grinding it and grinding it
Right.
until there's nothing left.
Right. So
Right?
you just listed, I don't know, eight or nine off the top of your head. How many different types of arthritis are out there?
100.
100 different types of arthritis. All, question, are they all triggered by the same root cause?
Yes. Mitochondrial dysfunction on a cellular level. The positive and the negative charge has been dysregulated for too long for that individual unique person.
Okay.
So you always have to go to your 4 pillars.
Yeah.
But the one I'm going to key in is your water, right? Because the negative charge water is going to put back what has been taken, and your gut microbes, which goes back to what you're consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, cortisol, hormones, stress, all of those other variables play. But if you were to only take away 2 things from this and you didn't want to do medication, medication's expensive and it also creates more gut health issues and it affects the liver even more. I would say cut out the sugar, reduce your carbs, which is a sugar, right? And increase your negative charged water consumption and just move a little bit. You're a bag of water. We need to get that water moving. Otherwise, you get too much stagnant, right? And too much of the bad stuff in one area. And we need to filter it out throughout the body so the body can expel what it does not need and what does not serve the body. The body cannot expel something that does not serve the body if you don't take it and send it to the exit portal.
The exit portal, code name. I love that. Okay, I want to talk holistic solutions, but before that we do that, just a couple of questions. So, arthritis. So there's there's 100 different types. Maybe you can just share with us what are some of the most common cases that you see coming through the clinic in terms of your community?
I would have to say rheumatoid arthritis is my top 5, gout and osteoarthritis, and a pre-existing injury that was not treated properly. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever we have rheumatoid arthritis, for example, that's an autoimmune that is stemmed from an imbalance in gut microbes. Okay.
Sure.
Triggered by the fight or flight system and a perfect formulation between high sugar and low water. Now you have rheumatoid arthritis. It is not genetic. A lot of people think it's genetic. It is inherited by certain nutritional inadequacies and hydrational inadequacies with high stress. That's the formula. So poor diet, poor water, high stress, usually childhood stress, for a long period of time untreated. So I see this a lot, usually individuals coming from a broken home or abusive childhood situation, things like that. It creates that high cortisol, right? High cortisol creates acidity within the blood. The bones then want to secrete the alkaline minerals into the blood to buffer. Every time you're in that fight or flight, you feel like your blood is boiling, you're mad or you're sad or you're depressed, your anxiety, and it's provoked by your environment based on your childhood or whatever that might be, your cortisol goes through the roof, your adrenaline goes through the roof. What happens is it throws off the pH of your blood, and immediately your bones will secrete alkaline minerals in the blood to buffer the blood. So the longer you're in that stressful situation, or the longer you're in that stressful environment and you don't treat it, you're going to develop issues. But you can reverse. Remember, bone density can grow back.
Okay, some arthritis. I'm going to use myself as an example because I'd love to get your input here. I'll put myself up on the guinea pig table.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, when I started writing my book and typing, my tip of one of my fingers, my index finger, all of a sudden bent. And I'm like, what the heck? The knuckle's a little bit swollen. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not a young chicken anymore. Okay. So, however, though, when I went home to see my folks a couple of years ago, much older, and my dad had the same exact thing on his fingers. So while you're saying it's not necessarily genetic, the way that he hydrated and took nutrition was probably very similar to the way I did, which is how we ended up with the same type of situation. Is that fair assessment?
That is fair. And what happens is you're as strong as your weakest link. So your weakest link could have been your fingers or specific fingers because of the wear and tear. You come from a rowing background, you come from, you're a writer, you're constantly, so you probably use your fingers more than say somebody else, but you also do it in the same manner. Typing, sewing, that's how people can develop carpal tunnel, right? Because they're doing the same.
It's repetitive too. It can be repetitive
motion. Okay. Yeah. And it's creating that little trigger, that little increment every time of wear and tear. And through the history of the diet, the water, maybe a little bit of stress, any type of stress, all of a sudden the finger goes. I see this all the time. So what happens then is now the body, when you all of a sudden change your gut health, reduce your sugar and carbs, and increase your water consumption, support your microbiome, your body will actually go to the weakest link and it will start to create, your body initiates something where it wants to make the weakest link become its strongest force. And so your weaknesses become your strengths.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's through a donation called electron transport chain. So the ETC. So when your body can get, all of a sudden, you give your body a flush of electrons, negative charged particles, your body will then send that to the weakest point in the body, to support
Okay.
that body. It's like a bank account, right? So
Right.
you have
Right.
a credit card that you've racked up, and all of a sudden you give it a bunch of cash, you can pay off the credit card.
Hmm. So in cases, not just like my finger, in some patients, people's situation with arthritis, they do get swelling or they get other things where sometimes it's just bone on bone and it's pain and it's discomfort. The swelling is what's the swelling a result of?
So the swelling is a result of the pain response triggered. So when your body has a pain response, your body immediately wants to engulf it with water to protect it and
Okay.
cushion it because there's no collagen. So the other option, the bench warmer would be, bring me in, coach, would be
Yeah.
the water, right? So
Okay. Yeah.
flooding the area with the water. And then what people don't realize is your kidneys have a huge correlation with water drainage. So when people are in stressful situations, they have poor gut health. Where are your kidneys? They're in your lower back. So your lower back and your gut wall are pretty close in parameter. So if you have a good gut wall, you're going to have a good kidney system. And so most people, if they have a poor gut wall, they have a poor kidney system. So when
Okay.
all of a sudden the body will put water around a joint and fill it up, if the kidneys don't work properly, the water won't be removed properly on its own. It will need support. And then the inflammation can actually become a result, can be a worse result because now the water retention is there.
Mm.
Right? So if you are someone suffering, taking cilantro and parsley, throw it in your blender. Take some dandelion and some milk thistle, throw it in your blender or take it in capsule form. So if all of a sudden you have knee pain, you've been struggling for a long time, but you're not going to give up your walks. You're going to go for your walks every morning and you're just going to suffer through it. And when you get home, you're just going to ice your knee. Make sure that you also help your kidneys drain the fluid by taking your cilantro, your parsley, your milk thistle, and your dandelion.
Mm. Interesting. So the kidney, because like we think gut health and everything too, and anti-inflammatory, like taking your turmeric and all this, but it's also the kidney is what helps drain.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we've been talking about this symbiotic kind of, cause and effect, but the human body is just amazing that way, how it works together, right?
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
what people don't realize is food is medicine. Herbs fall underneath a food category. They're not a drug. They're not a pharmaceutical. That's why you can combine them and you'll be okay. Where you can't really combine a bunch of pharmaceuticals. You have to make sure that they don't, go against each other.
Right.
Right. But herbs are food. And so you can take them with food, you can take them without food, and you can take them together. They're food.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Really good distinction. Speaking of that, holistic solutions now for arthritis. I'd love for you to take us through that. Is it a one-stop shop fix for all 100? Is it kind of depends? Like, give us some insight into that.
So yes, sometimes people suffering with arthritis will have a laundry list of other conditions, but I'm just going to talk about arthritis just to keep this simple.
Mhm.
So if you're someone suffering with just arthritis, you want to take a look at plants fiber fermentation. So your dark leafy greens, pick the ones you like. Okay. Pick the ones that your gut likes, and consume a little bit with every meal. Okay. So if you're someone that likes to do intermittent fasting, or you're someone that likes to eat 3 times a day, or you only eat once a day, or you eat 5 times a day, that's fine. Just be consistent that with every meal you have a dark leafy green. The second thing is take a high amount of probiotics. I would suggest twice a day. So if you want to take that in pill form, taking a human strain probiotic, taking a little bit of sauerkraut. So that would be the fermented cabbage. Stay away from the kombucha just because of the sugar content. I would do the sauerkraut and about 1 cup, a day or a few times a day. And then also making sure that you're introducing essential fatty acids. I prefer hemp oil, so about a tablespoon every meal. That's going to help lubricate. And then you want to get collagen back in the body. So collagen is found really high amounts in whitefish. So halibut, cod, mahi-mahi, maybe stay away from the tilapia. Just higher in mercury. But that's what I would suggest, is going on your dark leafy greens, going on your fish, your carnivore, things like that. When I say carnivore, I mean within reason. So that would be your chicken, your turkey, your eggs, and your fish, as long as it agrees with you, and doing your veggies. Be very mindful if you're going to be doing fruit, small amounts of fruit, and the low glycemic. So the ones would be the berries, the apples, and actually, believe it or not, watermelon. And that's actually what I'm drinking right now, is watermelon juice. Watermelon is going to help flush the kidneys and help with water retention, and also help with removing any excess acid buildup in the kidneys. So this will help with your joints. This will help with your skeletal system. And it's high in electrolytes, which will balance out your pH of your blood.
Great. You mentioned collagen too, and I just want to circle back to that because it seems to be a very hot commodity out there on social. Everyone's promoting collagen and doing their thing. What's obviously you just mentioned, but what's your take on the supplementation of collagen?
If you're taking it in a supplement, you want to make sure that there's no added sugars in the product, and that the product comes in a liquid form. If the product comes in a powdered form, it's just an extra step to be processed. And there's 3 different types of collagen. Whether you take an animal-based or plant-based, or whatever that might be, that's totally up to you. Just make sure you read the ingredients. No maltodextrin, no cornstarch, no genetically modified ingredients, nothing like that. And make sure it's organic, right? Because you want to make sure that the source that they're extracting it from is organic. Right. And what people don't realize is, sure, you can put back your collagen in a supplement, but if you're still consuming a high amount of sugar, it's kind of counterproductive, right? So just cut out the sugar and you don't need as much collagen.
Well, yeah, that's a problem we see always. We talk about this. It's really, food is the first best medicine for anyone.
Yeah. Right? I always tell people, don't look at adding, look at cleaning up first. Right. Clean up your diet first. And if you honestly feel like there's things missing and you can't get it from your diet, then use a supplement. Otherwise, people can get overwhelmed by opening up their cabinets and seeing all these supplements, and then that just creates a negative relationship with your supplement cabinet. We don't want that.
We don't want that. And you and I've talked before about this convenience-based culture mindset too. And I think there's more skin in the game if, just taking a quick fix with a pill, that to me, that doesn't foster longevity. That doesn't foster inspired action. Cut out, do the work, whether it's cutting back on sugar, do the work. Don't just take a little pill to make you bypass the work, right?
And just so you know, when you cut out sugar, it's a 2-week withdrawal. That's it. So if you're going through the withdrawal and you're at that point in your life where you're in that 2 weeks, I want you to know that once you're done the 2 weeks, the cravings are gone. You're euphoric, you feel light, you feel good. But the first 2 weeks, a lot of people don't realize that. They think that the way they feel in that 2 weeks is how they're going to feel for the rest of the year. And I want to encourage you, that's not. If you can get over that 2-week hurdle, kind of like the keto flu, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really good point. All right, Ariel. So just to recircle here, arthritis, many different types. There's up to 100 different types. The root cause is mostly triggered by high sugar content of food, excess sugar and calorie intake. And no matter what, the gut health, ionized water are your 2 big things that anybody can take away to really minimize maybe their arthritic condition. And as you said, I think it's very important that doing those steps, incorporating dark greens, probiotic even twice a day, as you said, possibly some collagen, the body can start to reverse some of this inflammation, collagen repair in between the bones and all of that. So again, we have the power if we really choose to acknowledge it and go after it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Last word out there for anyone from Ariel Jarvis, because Ariel knows. Anyone out there suffering from arthritis, what would you say to them?
I would encourage them, honestly, just to, really have a talk with yourself and be like, am I sick and tired of being sick and tired? And when is it enough, right? When am I ready? Because when you're ready, you'll know. And then the journey, it won't be a grind, it'll be a joy, right? So you can suffer. Everyone can go through life and suffer, but when you're ready to have that quality of life, I want you to know that there's tools out there, and then I'm here to help you, right? But I can only help you when you're ready for the help. Right. So the first step is to acknowledge that you're ready for the help, and then we can go based on what works exactly uniquely for you so that it's sustainable.
Beautiful. Well said. Support. Vitality Wellness World, support for the individual on their health journey. Ariel, you're amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate this conversation, and we'll be back next week. We don't know what the topic is, but we'll post it. It's a secret. We'll tease it in later in the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much. Anyone out there, don't forget, information is on the website. It's in the link here. Consultation with Ariel is available. Everything's on the website. We'll direct you to that. And the health journey starts with you. All right. Cheers. Thanks, Ariel.
Hi. Thank you.